This is hey guys. Hey guys.
Sorry, that's a great intro.
Yeah. Cinema Suitcase here, Logan and Kevin. And after our Anaconda episode that you guys have probably already seen by now, since we've all these episodes in batches, we decided to do our Lake Placid episode. So this is the follow-up. And then obviously eventually leading up to that Kevin Lake Placid versus Anaconda commentary.
Oh goodness, you're gonna torture me, mate. If I have to go through that movie twice in the same year, I'm not sure I'll survive.
I don't think any of us will survive, but
No.
yeah. And yeah, guys, we also got ourselves a proper podcast microphone now. So now we're like legit podcasters now.
we're off the ground.
Yeah, we're off the ground and we're
Shout
we're
out
legit.
to my friend D for loaning us his little
thanks,
mic.
Steve. Thanks, Steve. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, he had no use for it, and I asked him, "Can we use it?" He said yes. So
Yes.
thankfully, we have HD sound, HQ. There we go, HQ sound.
HQ sound. Yes.
There we go. So
Alright.
joyous.
Yes. So today we're going to be doing Lake Placid, famous crocodile movie.
Mhm.
Came out 2 years after Anaconda, and it was destined that these franchises were going
They
to
were,
clash.
of course.
Like
Of course.
10 years later, or whatever, 20 years later.
Based on this movie, there we go, Lake Placid's trivia page, it seemed like they were setting up more of a crossover with the Alligator movie, because they kind of reference each other like subtly.
I think also because the thing is the Alligator from 1980, that movie was obviously the first one to use like a reptile. Obviously, crocodiles and alligators, they're different species, but they look very similar. So obviously, I think they were trying to like just pay homage to that movie.
Possibly, yeah, maybe.
Because I guess, because in a way, sort of, I guess you can look at it as sort of like what Jaws did for sharks, Alligator did for crocodiles and alligators.
Yeah,
basically.
you can bet no one went into the water again.
Yeah. But yeah, so just a little bit of credits. So this movie was directed by Steve Miner, who worked on Halloween H2O.
Oh my!
The 20 years later reboot. I haven't seen that one yet, but I keep hearing from fans that it's terrible.
I'm sure it is.
Recording. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's going.
Cool. Then for writing credits, we have David E. Kelly, who wrote the screenplay. Original music by John Ottman. Film editing by Marshall Harvey and Paul Hirsch. Cinematography by Darwin Akada. Okay, I'm butchering that name.
How do you spell it?
Apologies. It's Daryn and then Okada.
Oh, Okada. Oh,
Okada.
maybe.
Darwin,
I think that's how you say
Darwin
it.
Akada. Or, yeah.
Him.
Yeah, getting that right. And then, that's pretty much our credits.
That's all the main cast crew.
Yeah.
The main roles.
So I guess we can start pretty much on our first experiences with this film.
Pretty much.
Mine's pretty brief. I watched this movie a couple of years ago. I always saw it at the DVD shop, but I never actually rented it and watched it. And I do like crocodiles. I mean, they're probably like my favorite predator, well, natural predator on this for this planet. And pretty cool. And then I watched it. I thought it was fun. It's a fun movie. I will say though, it doesn't have as much depth as like Anaconda does, because this movie has a higher score on IMDb than Anaconda. And I don't know why, because Anaconda actually had a lot more depth. And also, I feel the problem is, I'll touch on it more a bit later in this video, but I feel like the threat level in Anaconda was a lot more than the threat level here. Because the threat level in Lake Placid, it's kind of more chilled.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, it is dangerous. There are bad things do happen in this movie, but it's a lot more chilled than like Anaconda or whatever.
I think a large part of that, I'll circle back to it as well when you do, because I'd like to add to what you said. But just briefly, I think that they're distinctly different in tone, because Lake Placid is classified as more of a comedy horror, while Anaconda has less comedy. It does have some fun moments, but it's not directly aimed at comedy.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably why it didn't have that serious tone as much as Anaconda. Just a brief touch. Introduction. Did you finish yours?
Yeah. My introduction is finished.
My introduction to the film, like you, growing up, I always saw it in like DVD rental shops. The iconic poster that we looked at this morning, actually, of the Jaws and that lady swimming.
Yeah,
croc jaw.
Yeah, that poster's pretty famous for this movie.
I always saw it in like DVD shops. I was, of course, much younger when it came out, so I didn't watch it until much later. And coming from when I got those copies of Anacondas, when you and I went shopping together, remember I bought them, and I watched all 4 of them, and then I had like a real creature feature phase. So I was like, no, I have to watch Lake Placid. So I got Lake Placid and I watched it, and that was my first official introduction to the franchise. And it stayed with me because it was rather memorable with some of its humor, I won't lie. So that would be my introduction. Yeah,
okay, cool. Yeah, it's a pretty memorable movie.
Rather.
I think so.
I think it's quite a high tier creature feature.
Well, this is back in the late 90s. This was back when creature features were still kind of boom. Like that, the pre-2000s. That was back when creature features still got like a decent budget and everything. Because past this, like in the 2000s into the 2010s, a lot of creature features were just like direct-to-DVD, low budgets. Yeah. You know, like the freaking Adobe After Effects CGI, that type of thing.
Yeah, but not even like with effort, like a beginner CGI.
Yeah, beginner CGI level type thing. And then it was only recently now with like Crawl and like The Shallows, it was starting to get creature features again that actually have a decent budget.
Some life is being
put back into the genre. Yeah, exactly.
I agree with you. Crawl and Shallows are very good films.
They are very
Maybe
good
we
films.
should do them.
Yeah,
I'd like to do Crawl at least.
No, we're definitely gonna do them. They're on the list.
Nice, the list.
Yeah, the very long.
Watch like fan theories of the list on Reddit. They just start typing them out.
Yeah, exactly. So do you want to lead how the story starts in this movie?
Sure. So the opening scene is with Mad Eye Moody himself. His character name, I don't know the actor's name.
Brendan Gleeson.
There we go.
Brandon Gleeson. Yeah,
Brandon Gleeson. He plays the role of
Hector the sheriff.
Yeah, is it Hector? No, it's Hank. Hector.
Hank. Sorry.
Yeah. Hank, who is assisting this marine biologist type guy.
Yeah, I don't know. The thing is, they're like this reserve type people. They're like these game reserve guys. And then it's weird because the thing is, the sheriff wants to call the shots, but he can't because his jurisdiction's been overruled. And I'm like, these are game reserves, guys. How are they overruling local law enforcement?
I'm sure there's I know it takes place in the state of Maine. I'm not sure if the laws are accurate and designed around that, or if they made it up for the movie. But I'm sure that the nature guys do have some sort of authority over the like immediate territory, because I know like if you take the like Native American culture as well, they also have their own portion of land that they're allowed to sort of do whatever they want to within.
Yeah, it was actually quite interesting sort of the play on that point. There's one cop show that me and my mom used to watch together, Longmire, which is like this like sort of like it's basically like this like sheriff, and he's sort of like an old cowboy type thing, sort of like a modern western type of series. And like the interesting part was that that his town was next to a Native American settlement, and the Native Americans obviously had their own law enforcement and everything. And like the sheriff of the Native American thing, he hated Longmire, and then the two of them had like a border, and then the two of them would all often clash on the show. And it was actually a very interesting like storyline and everything. But yeah.
Did the show was it ever able to finish? Or
yeah, pretty. I don't know. The thing is, I only watched the first season, so I never watched more. But I do know that it did get more seasons.
Oh, okay.
After that, so I just haven't gone back to it yet. But it's pretty good. It's a pretty good series.
Is it like a series, or is it like more of a 90s sitcom like Seinfeld or
no,
Fresh Prince?
No. It's a proper like cop show, like
a
cop crime show type thing. But it was quite interesting. I think also because the thing is, I always, when it comes to America, like I'm always fascinated with the small towns. Like even if it's like a crime story or if it's like a horror movie or whatever, I always like those like small town type of settings. Like it always fascinates me.
like Lake Placid or more like upper class, like
No, like those small towns in America with like a sheriff and his deputies, and then they got to like solve a problem. Like kind of like with Jaws. Like Jaws obviously is a small town in America. Lake Placid, Friday the 13th, a lot of those horror movies that take place in those like small American towns where we're like everybody, where there's only like 100 people, everybody knows each other, that type of thing. I always find those settings just to be very interesting. You know?
I agree with you, actually. I know it's a bad example, but an example nonetheless is Alien vs. Predator Requiem. That town, I thought, is quite a nice setting.
When you could see it.
When you could see it, yeah.
Exactly.
No, dude, I'm surprised they took the lens cap off for that film. It was so dark, and it's universally hated. I like the setting, and the story is a bit 50-50, but the lighting, I think, universally people universally despise it.
Okay, to go a bit of a tangent, but the early set photos that they released of the Predator and Alien fighting and the costumes and stuff, the set photos were more well lit than the actual freaking film was.
I haven't seen any set photos, I'll be honest.
Well, yeah,
but
I saw some of the early
I'll research it after the episode.
Yeah, because I remember when Alien vs. Predator Requiem came out, I was like super into it. I even cut up one of the set photos that they were in a magazine and I put it on my wall.
Nice. I used to do that as well. I had Dr. Octopus from Spider-Man 2 and Incredible Hulk.
Of course.
With the article.
Yes, of course. And then sort of to add to that point, the Game Reserve guys, they kind of appear throughout the series because in Lake Placid,
I'm sorry, I was stiff neck.
in Lake Placid versus Anaconda, I remember there's the sheriff of the town, and then she also works with that one guy who's obviously part of this Game Reserve enforcement type of agency or whatever, and then they work together. So like it's a constant theme throughout the film,
like a joint operation.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah. But yeah, so anyway, he's with this guy. Then they have to dive in the water because I don't know, they're investigating something.
That guy is tagging beavers.
And then he needs the sheriff's help. But the sheriff's always going on about how these guys they're all sarcastic.
Yeah,
they all have like stupid humor and all that type of stuff. And then he dives in the water to go look to tag beavers. And then while the sheriff's busy eating a Twinkie. 2 Twinkies, in fact.
Yeah, you brought up the stereotype of Twinkies and donuts in 80s and 90s films.
Well, I don't know, because I think there's a stereotype with cops is always that they eat donuts, but then I think after a while they were like, oh, yeah, people are sick and tired of donuts. It's a stereotype now. We have to switch to Twinkies.
Exactly.
Because the one cop from the first Die Hard movie, he also eats Twinkies. So Twinkies is kind of a thing with cops.
It's a trend.
Yeah.
Anyway, basically the marine biologist gets killed by some unknown creature. We know what it is.
It's his legs bitten off.
Yeah, he's pretty much taken in half, and Sheriff Hank, he pulls out half the man he used to be.
Yeah.
And he dies of probably shock because he couldn't even speak after that, even though his face and everything were untouched. He was probably still he was pretty much dead.
Yeah.
And so now they have this unknown threat.
Yeah.
And so during the autopsy, the doc that performs the autopsy, Mr. Dr. A,
yeah,
he finds a tooth fragment of something that shouldn't ever actually be in that immediate vicinity. They thought it was a bear. They refused to believe Sheriff Hank. They're like, oh no, it's a bear. What aquatic bear is this?
Yeah, exactly.
And so they call for, because the tooth has historic indications, like it's very old and aged, they call a paleontologist, or I assume it's Dr. Kelly something or other.
Remember, Kevin, because we get the whole backstory of Kelly.
Yeah, I was going to add to that.
It's not actually because her expertise are needed or whatever. It's because
you're actually right.
she was dating her boss, and then her boss cheated on her with her coworker, and then basically we get this whole sub story about the boss and this co-worker woman don't want her around. They want her to cool off for a few days. So they send her out into this town in Maine to go investigate. And it's just like...
Dude.
I don't know. Like I will say, I didn't like that whole backstory. Thing.
Yeah.
I'm just like I was just like, what is this? Is this like a sitcom episode or something?
Dude,
It felt like they took a sitcom episode and they just jerry rigged it into this natural predator movie.
I'm gonna bounce off of you there because in Attack the Block, and I'll never forget this because you broke my heart. you were talking about Moses's backstory and how they shoehorned it in. That's basically what they did. I don't usually feel they shoehorn stuff, but they shoehorned that subplot of her and her boss and her friend, and oh god. Yeah, it was like the initial scene when she's still in New York doing her normal day job.
Yeah, we can't just have like
painful.
Yeah, we can't just have like I don't know, like the biologist guy. I can't remember his name from Jaws. Remember, he comes to investigate. Well, not only because the sheriff department calls for a marine biologist to come, but he's also fascinated with sharks.
Yeah.
So there's actual interesting backstory with him, and you actually get to hear some of his backstory when he tells stories about it. But with this chick, it's just like, how do you make her interesting? Just make it that she was dating her boss, and then her boss cheated on her, and now she's just being sincere.
Yeah, no.
I don't know. It's not a very exciting backstory.
Not at all. Yeah. I think it was kind of the best approach in context of the film as a whole, because for the rest of the film, when she's in Maine, she's very like snotty and short-tempered, and I can understand why from that context.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah,
but still, like, I mean, if that plot wasn't really as emphasized, I would have survived.
Yeah, but like it was just like they take 20 minutes to go through it, and then they really take their time with it, and just to constantly keep bringing it up. Mm-hmm. It's just like I don't care, like whatever.
Maybe
you're gonna end up with Bill Pullman anyway. So what do you complain about?
Yeah, you left some lawyer-looking dude for Pullman. So what's your problem?
Yeah, what's your problem exactly?
Lady, jeez. We're having an interesting run here.
Yeah. Well, I guess also you kind of have to look at it from the fact of they were kind of going more for like a horror comedy type thing with this movie.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Whereas something like Anaconda, that was more like a serious type of movie.
Yeah, it was a lot darker tone.
It was a lot darker tone and it was a lot more serious, whereas with this one, it's kind of going more for the comedies and more for the laughs. I know they thought it would be funny, but I don't know.
It's like a hit or miss.
Yeah, I was just like cringe.
Yeah, even I can appreciate the subplot, but the sheer amount of time they spent on it in that first third of the film,
and they keep bringing it up because they keep asking like why you here, like everything like that. I'm like, okay, fine, I understand that he's curious, but why are you asking her so many times? I would ask once, and then she didn't want to talk about it. I was like, okay, fine, whatever.
Yeah, move on.
And
then instead, the whole camp is like, hey, man, why are you here? Excuse me, why are you here? Why are you here?
The sheriff is interested there. Everybody's interested.
Dude, it's like the same joke I make with the schools when they're separated by gender, and then it's like when there's one girl in the all guy campus, they all freak out. What is that? girl. Yeah, it's like the small town has never seen an outsider before. The whole town comes to Lake Placid to ask her, hey, what are you doing here? Why are you here? I can just imagine it. She's freaked out.
It's just God.
Have you played Blackout Club?
No, I haven't played Blackout Club.
Basically, I'm not too sure what it's about, but it basically there's like this entity that's sort of taken over the town, and the kids have to break the parents' brainwashing to beat it. It's kind of like a It parody type thing, but it's really cool, and it just sort of reminds me of that. Like the whole town is shrouded by this Croc's curse or whatever, and then suddenly there's an outsider, and they're all like,
yeah, it sort of reminds me of that. I can't remember the exact title of the movie. I think it's something River. I can't remember, but it's this crime film that takes place in Alaska. And it's got Elizabeth Olsen, Scarlet Witch, and Jeremy Renner Polka in it. And the two of them are they're investigating this thing, and then she's from out of town. And then the thing is, she comes to this Alaskan town. Obviously, they want to make jokes about the outsider who doesn't know how everything. But the thing is, it was executed better because they're for example, she shows up in just her normal clothes. and then like she realizes that by the way, it's really cold in Alaska, and then she has to like go to the shop and like buy herself like some winter clothes or whatever, and then later she comes and she's got like the tag, she's still got the tag on the thing and everything. Like the thing is, that's a more organic and unique and interesting joke. And the thing is, don't spend like the whole movie just finding out on it. Like it's the one joke that they do, and then they move on to the next thing. Exactly. But with this movie, they're just like, no, we have to find out what's happening with this woman, and we gotta hope that boss trips on a banana or something for what he did to her.
Yeah, they have to get back at him, even though they never do. You never see her boss or the co-worker again in the film. So like, why are you always dwindling on about it?
I don't know.
I think it's just to emphasize why she's such a salty lady during the course of the film.
Yeah, but like she doesn't like mosquitoes.
Yeah, no, she really doesn't. She uses that whole can,
and she keeps getting hit with random 7 hits, and she complains of like all 5 minutes. She was going like, I keep getting hits thrown at me.
I won't lie, I actually laughed at that scene when she referenced or mentions it, because I was like, I didn't actually make that connection. I keep having 7 heads thrown at me. I laughed. I quite like, well, I suppose before we get there, we should just move on with the story. Anyway, she's called out because of the whole, or she's sent out by her boss to cool down.
Yeah. And
now they have to start investigating what killed, this person. But now the thing is, they won't get any sort of additional help from the like wildlife guys because there was no confirmed sighting.
Yeah.
Remember, she has that discussion on the phone.
Yeah, she keeps saying like, because that's later when the crocodile like knocks over the boat or whatever. They says like, we got knocked over by something, and then the wildlife guys will say, oh, whatever, it's not confirmed, we're not coming out.
Exactly. Do you know how much fuel it takes?
Yeah.
So now this other interesting sort of delusional character, Hector Cyr, C-Y-R,
played by Oliver Platt.
There we go. That's his name.
But it's C-Y-R.
Anyway, Hector, he's an eccentric rich boy. I mean, he's not insulting, and he doesn't look down on them as normal people, but he's very wealthy, and he's missing the toolbox, mate. Not just a screw, he's missing everything.
Like the Sheriff Hank says, I think you are a mental. Like doing his best Harrison Ford impression. Yeah. He did kind of remind me a bit of Harrison Ford in this movie. He's got like that grumpy, very like just like, growly voice stuff. He does. I think you are a mental.
Yeah, dude. Like, it's hard not to see Mad-Eye Moody when you watch Lake Placid. His character demeanor is almost the same.
Yeah.
It's really funny. Anyway, they have an interesting kind of clash. I think they're like, you could say a clash of mentalities. I mean, everyone has a clash of mentality with Hector because he sees them as gods or whatever.
Yeah, he sees the crocodiles as gods. And
and he's just like, who's this loon?
Yeah, who's this loon?
So, I think that bridges Act 2, basically. Because Act 2, in terms of action or interesting sequences, is not very... Yeah, it's not abundant. There's not much to it.
When we looked up the trivia for this movie, the crocodile only appears in 3 minutes and 43 seconds of the entire movie.
Yeah.
The entire runtime, only 3 minutes and 43 seconds is dedicated to the crocodile. I think it is used pretty well, because when they do use the crocodile, they do use the crocodile pretty well.
Very well. I have to second that completely. I wanted to say, I don't know if I'm bringing this up early now, but I thought about it last night. In terms of real life counterparts, because these monster movies are often or creature features are often exaggerated with, like, the monster will attack anything for no real reason.
Yeah.
Well, that's not necessarily the case in nature. Animals generally will avoid you unless they're threatened or they're hungry,
Yeah.
So that croc is a very sort of passive creature. It doesn't like constantly go to their camp and rip up yet another dude. It's only when they really encounter it and they're looking for it, then it sort of goes for them. But
like the first time they really encounter it is when Bull.
Oh yeah, sorry, I was just wondering the framing.
Bull Pullman's character and Oliver Platt, they go swimming down to, I can't remember what they were doing. I think they were looking for a croc, and they're trying to tag it or whatever. And then and then when they throw it on the anchor sort of gets stuck, and the one deputy has to like lean over to like pull it out, and the croc jumps up and like just bites his head off
in a clean way as well.
In a clean bite off, like that was actually a pretty gruesome, pretty awesome one.
Dude, like that cut was so clean. That was straight out the butcher shop. That was no jagged or torn. That was just a solid.
Yeah.
And the thing is, they were all sort of distracted with, I think, the little underwater speaker that amplified those baby croc distress signals. Because obviously he said adult crocs respond to distress
and then
calls.
Interesting enough, there's those fish that then they keep who like jump and splash in the water, and they only do that when they're being threatened by something. So like every time that they see that splash in the water, they know the croc is near.
I always feel incredibly bad for fish because that happens in real life. That's like a defensive mechanism where they try and escape. So they surface and then they sort of jump out the water briefly, in some vague attempt, I guess. I have to check the proper science behind it. But I feel really bad for them because they're being wrecked with whatever is after them in the water. But also, if there's any birds looking at those fish, they're getting attacked from both sides. I feel incredible pain for them.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was funny. But it was cool to sort of... They seem to be very... they try to stay as true as possible to real life nature. That's what I was circling back to what I said with the croc itself, being not overly aggressive. It was more territorial, and if it was hungry, but it didn't go out just to kill endlessly. Which I think in creature features that's greatly exaggerated. Obviously, as you said in Anaconda's episode, we have to dramatize everything.
I think the only time when it like really dramatically attacks is when obviously like towards the end, obviously, but like later where they're on the ground, they're near the water, and then that bear attacks them, and then the bear gets close to the water before the bear can attack them. The croc jumps up and like eats the bear.
That was a great introduction.
That was a pretty big shot.
As soon as they ran to the beach, I was just like, I know what's coming now. This is the first, because besides the couple of frames in the opening scene of the movie where you see like the teeth, that extreme close up, you haven't seen the croc at all. So when they were on that beach with that bear, I was like, I know what's coming. This bear is gonna get wrecked. Yogi got destroyed.
Yeah, Yogi Bear.
And
poor bear just wanted some honey.
Yeah, no. I get that pun. That was so smooth.
Thank you.
I just want to add that I think the most exaggerated part about the natural aspects of the croc and the surrounding wildlife is the length of the croc is probably the most exaggerated part of it.
Yeah, because it's similar to the Anaconda episode where like real anacondas get only maybe to like 15, 17 feet big, but the one in Anaconda is like 40 feet big. And same with crocodiles. I was looking up the facts, like the largest crocodile ever recorded in captivity was like 20 feet, but the one in Lake Placid is 30 feet.
Exactly.
Obviously, they got exaggerated to make it look more monstrous and more
menacing.
Menacing, yeah.
I'm with you. Where were we in the story? Basically, they've all decided they can't get any help from the wildlife guys because they have no confirmed sighting, so they're sort of on their own. Like the sheriff, 2 deputies. I think it's 2
or 3 deputies.
Yeah, a handful of them. Obviously Hector the loon, the croc expert that everyone just sort of accepted that was there with no authority.
Yeah.
And Kelly, and then of course the nature guy himself.
Yeah, that would not happen in real life. In real life, the cops would just be like, yeah, get the hell out of here, man.
Yeah.
You're not. This is an active crime scene. You're not going to be here.
Exactly.
What I was going to say now is that the thing is, the threat level in this movie isn't as it's not as high compared to like a movie like Anaconda, because like the thing is, in Lake Placid, like when they're on the water, they are in danger and everything. But generally, most of the time they're not on the water; they're on the land, And as soon as they're on land, they're fine. Like the crocodile, like Hector or whatever his name is, he like sets up all these traps because crocodiles are going to come onto land. They're going to attack the camp and everything. And you keep thinking like something like that's going to happen, but nothing happens.
No, I agree that it is a bit unusual that they bring it to attention. I get from a natural standpoint. I understand it. It's true, but it's like,
but I guess.
Hell.
But I guess also in this, okay, well, I guess the counter argument to that is Jaws, because a lot of Jaws does take place during the day, But I don't know, Jaws, I feel like even when they're on land or whatever, like on land, that's what I meant earlier. Well, even when they're on land, the tension is so well done. They do such a good job of building up the tension, and like how like the shark could easily the shark's murdering everybody and all that type of stuff. And yeah, I don't know. It's just not. And the thing is, and then you get a very long. The final act, you get a very long sequence of them on the water and them actually being stranded on this boat. Them trying to hunt down the shark. So like I don't know, Jaws I feel like kind of balanced a bit better. But I know that's comparing this to a Titan basically.
Yeah, of course, I get what you mean. But I mean, your argument is valid. Maybe they just maybe they could have done it better.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Because I think also the problem is the tension kind of gets ruined. When they're on land, the tension kind of gets ruined because they have to constantly keep throwing cringy jokes at you. Like when Hector, Oliver Platt's character, is having that like a party and all the deputies are like, drinking in his tent with him. And there's that one female deputy that has a thing for him. And then like when the sheriff comes and says, okay, no guys, like, get back to your tents. Like, you're on duty. And then like he says to them like, would you mind if she stays over? We were hoping to mate. And then the sheriff's just like, no.
Yeah, no, he's very weird. He's a weird character, but I think he was written with the purpose of making the second act more exciting because not very much happens. They're finding bits and pieces of people and they're trying to investigate this croc. But if they didn't have Hector's character there, it would be a drag.
Yeah, I understand they need him for comedy or whatever, but I don't know, the comedy in this movie is very hit or miss for me.
It is a bit hit or miss. I can tell.
For me, the thing is, the parts I actually found funny was with the sheriff Hank.
Yeah,
he was very funny because he had this very dry, straight face the entire time, and
exactly.
and how he bounces off of Hector is very funny.
Yeah, that's
the one part where he gets caught up in the guy's trap, and then he said, "Okay, fine." He says, if I cut you down, you're going to hurt me. He's like, I'm not going to hurt you. And then they cut him down, and then he chases after the dude.
Yeah, that's the thing. They're opposing ideas and mindsets, and even opposing humor. Because Hector is more straight and to the on the nose almost type humor, but Hector is more sarcastic. And he's not very direct with his jokes, and that's the thing. They're clashing ideologies in every sense of the way.
But I think my problem is that a lot of the humor in this movie is just very cringy. And the thing is, I don't know. I understand humor is subjective, and everybody's different. But with me, I'm more one of those people. I like my dry, witty type of humor.
Nah, me too.
Or that weird, witty situational type of humor. Like in Jaws, for example. One moment I always find very funny is when the sheriff's busy going through that book about sharks.
Oh yes.
And he's seeing how dangerous they are, and then he sees he's with his wife, and then he sees on the shoreline his kids are busy playing with the new boat they got for Christmas or birthday or whatever. And then he's shouting at the kids saying, get out of the water. And then the wife is saying no, come on man, just let them go in the water. They're not going out into the sea. The shark's not going to attack them, whatever. And then the wife looks at the book, and then she sees the shark busy biting a picture of a drawing of the shark busy biting, destroying a boat, and then she suddenly screams, "Do you hear your father? Get off that boat!"
Yeah, I know the scene you're talking about.
Yeah. That sort of situational humor. I find humor like that a lot more funny than just jokes about this is the second hand that's been thrown at me today.
I get what you're saying. I think I think that for me, Sheriff Hank's humor hits harder for me
Yeah.
because he's so straight faced about it, as you said. Like when they find that toe,
And he's like, I thought he was taller.
yeah, it's like, is this the man you were looking for? And then he's like, he seemed taller. I died laughing. I think the first time I watched it, I had to pause for like 20 minutes. I was crying, dude. That straight faced dry humor is it always knocks me down.
Yeah.
And I understand your approach. Like, to me, British humor lands more for me. That's very clever and dry.
Very clever, dry, and like straight faced, and like and like just that humor where just those small moments where the humor it doesn't break or destroy the tension. The tension is still there. It just sort of like it just slightly lowers the tension. So it's to sort of let the audience take a breath, but at the same time it doesn't compromise the scene.
Yeah, it doesn't let up too much.
Yeah, exactly.
I understand what you mean. That's a good application for it.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Although I will say the one humorous part about this movie, other than Hank the Sheriff, that worked very well was Granny from the Hood.
Granny from the Hood, dude. I didn't like her character. I'll be honest. I told you, she's that type to like run a prison. She arms wrestle the baddest guys in the yard. That granny doesn't take prisoners.
Yeah, so for those who don't know, the granny that we were referring to, she's the she has sort of like her own like little cow farm that's like right there on the lake and like by this like lake river, and she's the only one who like really lives on this lake. So obviously she's one of the first people they go question about it.
Yeah,
saying like, did you see any creatures or have you seen anything weird in the lake or whatever? And she initially says no, I haven't seen anything, and she goes on about how she killed her husband, like her husband kept saying like kill me or whatever, and then eventually one day she caved and killed him.
Yeah, I didn't quite understand that scene.
Yeah, I don't understand that. Yeah, I understand that.
Like they sort of brush it off like, nah, she wouldn't do that, and she's like, well, go dig him up or something. I'll show you where he is. And then the one cop is like,
yeah.
Like, I was like, I thought, okay, they're going to actually follow up, and it turns out she did kill her husband, but they never talk on that again. I was like...
Yeah. And then later, but then later they find out that she's, there's that famous scene of her feeding one of her cows, this freaking crocodile. This croc jumps up, bites the cow, and like pulls it back into the water.
For 6 years, it's been doing that.
And apparently apparently she treats it as some sort of like pet. Like, it was like a pet that like that her and her husband like fed like scraps or whatever to, and then one day the cow ventured too close to the water, and then when the husband ran out to try and intervene, the croc ate him basically. But then she carries on feeding the croc, and it's just like, what? Like I don't know. Yeah, but like
she says it was an accident, which fair enough. I mean, the croc wouldn't distinguish, like oh no, this guy is associated with her. To him, it's just a dude. It's food. Yeah. So. I don't know, it's just, I don't like Granny from the Hood. I mean, if she drops the sickest mixtape of like 1999, then sure. But other than that, I just didn't like her character.
Yeah, and she's like calling everybody like, okay, I can't really say the words, otherwise we'll be demonetized, but she's dropping like F-bombs and like, just saying all the swear words in the book. She's like Granny from the Hood.
That's Granny from the Hood, dude. Yo. I don't know how. I mean, I understand. Like, why? You think she's like a sweet old lady, stereotypically, but Granny from the Hood, she is one of the most twisted characters in that whole film. Besides,
looks can be deceiving.
Yeah, no, I think she's even borderline more insane than Hector. She is really backwards, dude. And she has no regards. Like, she ate him, but whatever. Yeah, whatever.
If I told you that it was a croc, you would have killed it.
Yeah.
It's like, well, he's killing a bunch of people, innocent people. It's just like, whatever.
Also, I had an interesting point now. She says she feeds the croc.
Yeah.
The cow. How often does she feed it? Because she has like a smaller yard than an average apartment. She could have only had like 6 cows there total. So does she only feed it like once every 6 months or something?
Maybe when the cow's like when the cow's sick or it's close to dying anyway.
Maybe she has like a big field that we never see full of cows. But that little yard she does have with like the couple of horses and stuff. I'm like, you're not gonna have a lot of cows in there. If you feed that thing a cow every day, how many people have you starved?
Yeah, like
it's weird.
It's kind of weird. I don't know.
Granny from the Hood, she really, she kind of ruins this movie for me. Not overall, but she definitely...
I mean, she's a memorable character, but
definitely.
You don't forget about the Granny from the Hood. But at the same time, you kind of just like, what is up with this character?
I don't know why she's there, mate.
Yeah, the characters in this movie are like all over the place, honestly.
They really are. I think it ties back into the hit or miss concepts.
Yeah. Like that's why the only character I really gravitate towards in this movie is basically the Sheriff Hank. He's like the only one because he's like the only normal person.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's the only one that isn't a complete loon
weirdo.
Like his deputies are kind of backwards. At least the one we see the most of, that female deputy. Desperate. Hank, sorry, not Hank. Hector is a loon. Kelly is twisted. She's unhinged.
Pullman's just there. He's just like, yeah, whatever.
So that's the thing. I just don't understand these characters, and maybe they're like a satirical approach, like in like maybe everything is supposed to be backwards and it's like La La Land, but Officer or Sheriff Hank is supposed to be the grounded base level that we can all relate to.
Yeah. I guess it was just the direction they wanted to go in, but it's kind of weird. Like the thing, because sorry,
it's all good.
In these types of movies, generally you'll have maybe like everybody will be all of your characters will be grounded, and then you'll have that one eccentric character that's thrown into the mix just to kind of like stir things up. But in this movie, like almost everybody's eccentric. Everybody's eccentric and weird
and out there. Then they're like. They always say, small town America, nothing happens there. Go to Maine. They got some real circus folk over there.
They got some weirdos.
That's why Sheriff Hank looks so aged. He has to deal with these people every day.
I feel sorry for that sheriff.
Maybe, do you think Granny from the Hood lost her mind a bit because they say they like touch on her. It's only her and her husband that stay out there within the first 25 miles of that lake, something like that.
Yeah.
And you think after her husband died, she kind of lost it. Being in these woods all by herself. I don't know.
Maybe? I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. It's weird.
I don't know, but I want to see Granny from the Hood take on John Wick. That would be an awesome crossover.
I want Granny on the Hood of the Suicide Squad. Amanda Waller puts a bomb in the lady's neck, and the lady's just like, calls her a B word or whatever. That would be an epic. Yeah,
she belongs on James Gunn's Suicide Squad. She's one of those twisted characters. Granny from the Hood.
Yeah. Like super eccentric. I don't know.
I don't know. Is Lake Placid like Jurassic Park in the sense of it's based on a book? Or a play, maybe? It's a
I'm not sure. I don't think it was based on any book or anything, but I don't know.
I'm not sure because,
it's a very weird direction to go in.
I imagine it's just looking at the film and the tone and the theme and everything throughout the film. They must have had some strong shrooms when they came up with that plot.
Yeah, or like the director was like on cocaine or something. He's just like, okay, I have this idea for a bunch of characters.
Yeah, no. I don't know.
Yeah,
I still love the film, and it's an unusual creature feature. The most realistic part of it, ironically, is the croc. Yeah. Usually it's the most exaggerated.
Yeah.
And it seems to be the most grounded besides the sheriff.
Yeah.
He's the only one that, hasn't taken or hasn't got off his meds in weeks.
Exactly.
Should we continue with the plot?
I mean, I don't know. There's not really much else because it's a simple plot. There's not really much. Like basically, there's a croc. They try to capture it. The croc bites a helicopter at one point, and then later they're eventually able to capture the croc.
Yeah, and then in a plot twist, no one expected really was that there's two crocs.
Yeah,
which I suggested. One is like the female, one is the male. Because
When I was looking at the trivia, the smaller one that does get killed is the female.
which
Yeah.
is again like accurate to their own biology in like the real world. You know, saltwater crocs, or at least the crocs from the Asian side. They female-ish.
Because they do explain that this croc is actually from Asia and that it swam all the way to a new continent and everything. Like, okay.
I mean, I'll take it, but like,
damn, like very weird.
It is weird, but oh well. I guess as you say, they capture it, and that's it. Happily ever after, I guess.
I mean, and they do sort of have the play thing where, like, you know, the croc, like, they think that, oh, that guy's gonna finally kill the croc, but they actually just tranks it or whatever. I was actually kind of saying to you, maybe that was like sort of like, maybe like it was a situation where half the crew wanted to kill the croc and then the other half wanted to keep it alive. So that's why they had that second croc to sort of like appeal to both sides.
Sort of middle ground. I get what you mean. That's possible.
Because they do capture the croc, and obviously Oliver Platt's character, Hector, and Kelly, you know, Miss Crazy Woman, they both want the croc both want to capture the croc because they don't want to kill it, obviously, because it's still a living creature. And then the rest of them just want to kill them, and then I don't know.
Human
and then
nature.
Hank's got a freaking BFG grenade launcher weapon.
Dude, I don't know where he got that. He references it the whole film, but he only uses it that one shot. And I don't know what kind of RPG shot he has in that pistol, but that was bull.
Well, it was like a grenade launcher, rocket launcher type thing. I was like, what the heck?
Dude, I think
it's not a real weapon though. It's actually
of course
it's a completely make believe weapon they made for the movie.
Well, it might have been real. Maybe Granny from the Hood made it.
No. I looked up the trivia. Like, it's not based on an actual weapon or anything. It's just it's a made up weapon that they had for the movie. But I don't know. But there's not really much else to say. I mean, it's kind of thing. There's the one memorable moment where Oliver Platt wants to go down to wants to go investigate. He wants to go see the croc with his own eyes, like up close. And then he's getting out of the helicopter. He's putting on his scuba gear. That like desperate deputy is saying like, "I'll have sex with you. Just get back into the helicopter." And I'm like, "Jeez, lady, keep in your pants." Like,
exactly.
Lord.
No,
I know he said he wanted to make with you earlier, but like the man's working.
Exactly. And he's all part of that spiritual connection with the croc gods or whatever.
And he does the whole holy thing, holy that, and then he turns around and sees the croc's like, holy
that scene made me laugh as well, dude.
Yeah.
I think that's why I say he keeps that movie going during the sort of quiet investigating.
Yeah, I understand why he's there. He's like entertaining. I mean, I'll tell you, the jokes with him were more entertaining than the jokes with freaking lady who gets been cheated on for the boss, and like, all of her humor like just fell flat for me completely.
Yeah, largely, I'll give you that.
I mean, look, the actress is very talented. I'm not egging on the actress or anything. It's just like how they wrote her character and everything was just.
It was kind of weird, but what isn't weird in this movie?
Yeah, exactly.
What do you think that why didn't he kill the croc, the male that was caught in the helicopter? What's your take? Was it like some sort of story arc?
I think it's more just like as a sense of he's not a
bad guy.
He's not a bad guy. He's like, okay, we've tranked it, we might as well just trank it or whatever. But also he wanted to get in Miss Kelly's pants.
So the good books, I get you.
Yeah. So and if he killed it, it would have been like, oh, okay, yeah, you just lost your chance, buddy.
Exactly, I get you.
And then the movie ends, and then biologist or hunt or game reserve dude is getting in his car. He's about to drive off because the two of them have sort of that moment. He says, "I'll hook up with you I'll see you if I ever go to New York or whatever." And then he gets into his truck, and then she like comes up and says, "Does people in Maine not make the first move, whatever?" And she gets in, and then they, I guess, go off to go have a bar or something.
Yeah, I think they went to he says there's a good bar in town. So,
there's a good bar in town.
So they go and have a drink and have happily ever after or whatever. And then it cuts to like the next day or maybe a week or so later.
And Granny from the Hood.
Granny from the Hood, in like preparation for an album dropping, goes to the pier and she starts feeding
baby crocs.
And I'm like, no. Is she in the sequels? I've never seen them. They hurt my eyes.
No, she's not in the sequel. But those baby crocs are the crocs that you see in Lake Placid too.
That makes sense.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Granny from the Hood, dude. Yo, she
We
really...
should make that a hashtag for our channel. Hashtag Granny from the Hood.
We should make it like a running joke whenever there's some
Like,
overly like stereotypical gangster character.
yeah.
We should just say they
Or
listen to
Sarah Connor in Terminator Dark Fate. Granny from the Hood.
Granny from the Hood.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why she wasn't in Lake Placid too.
Yeah.
I mean, she's that twisted. She probably did go and fight a Terminator. Granny from the Hood, dude.
Yeah.
I think she's a real representative of that wildlife conservation thing. I think. I don't know if I read that trivia correctly. I'll have to double check. But that's kind of an interesting role that she was there and that she defends the croc. It's kind of meta, but like, Granny.
You can chill.
Yeah, you need to go play some bingo or something. You need to calm down. Yo.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Other than that, I don't really have a lot to say. Like, do you have any specific shots? I have one I'd like to mention.
No, not really. I don't know. I guess some of like the aerial shots and stuff are nice, but yeah, I don't know. Other than that, no, there wasn't really like any specific shots I think that really stood out to me or really grabbed my attention or anything like that.
Fair enough. I think my three are, the first one is when Hector arrives. They have a sort of conversation beforehand, and you can see the sunset through the space in the trees. And then in that same space, his helicopter comes flying in closer to them. I thought that was quite cool.
Yeah.
I'll give them that. Another shot. I had it. I always forget these things. I just thought of it as well. Oh yeah, there's like this one shot where Hank goes for his morning or his evening leak, right? In the in the forest, and then he has to sort of brush the trees aside with his weapon. I think that's a kind of a nice composition. I don't know why.
Yeah.
It just stood out to me. And there was one more. Oh yeah, it's like anything. Basically, when the croc is behind Hector and he's in the water, and you see like the full length of it.
Oh, yeah. I will say those shots are pretty cool.
They're quite cool, those shots. Yeah, those would be my highlights.
Yeah, that one like top-down aerial shot where you like see Hector, then you see like
the length of the croc.
This long croc in the water.
That's really cool. One thing I would like to say is Stan Winston, that guy who made animatronics for Jurassic Park. He made that croc, and I'm glad he did, because I didn't know that watching the movie last night, but reading up on it this morning, I found out. And I was thinking last night that is rather high tier animatronic work.
Yeah.
Because it's not entirely CGI.
Yeah, especially when the croc is towards the end, the croc gets stuck inside that helicopter, that chopper, and then obviously that's how they capture it. And the croc's head's like moving like this, everything. It is a very good animatronic.
It's very good. I don't know. I wonder what happened to that after they finished the film. It's probably in a warehouse somewhere.
They probably like stripped it for parts, or they probably just sold it to a collector or something
Possibly,
like that.
yeah. But I mean,
that's what movie studios generally do with their props afterwards. They usually just sell them.
Oh, okay.
They sell them and make extra money off of it.
I understand. Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I definitely want to just draw attention to that. That is remarkable work.
Well, I mean, it's the best work we're gonna ever get from this series, because after this, it's like, PlayStation 1 graphic CGI,
dude,
for the crocodiles.
Yeah, shame. Their budget must have been divided into like an eighth.
Yeah.
It's truly horrible, the sequels.
Yeah, I don't know. That's why I'm glad that we're getting movies like Crawl and The Shallows, which creature, because I like creature flick movies, and we're getting creature flick movies again that actually have a budget and don't look like the PlayStation 2 graphics. Yeah. And actually have decent writing, not just like porn level acting.
Yeah, no, not Anaconda and Lake Placid. Don't get me started on that, dude.
Yeah. That commentary's still coming though.
Oh yeah, I'm sure you want it. You just want to die laughing again.
Yeah, I should die laughing.
Takeaways? I don't think I really have any takeaways.
No.
I do have a quick fourth.
Don't have cringy humor in your movie.
I do have a quick fourth shot to add, and that was when the marine biologist is being attacked underwater in the beginning, they have that sort of scenic shot of Sheriff Hank on the boat with his Twinkie.
Yeah.
It's like quite like a far back long shot. I like that. That's nice. But in terms of takeaways, I don't really think I have any.
Yeah, I don't know. This movie wasn't as memorable as like Anaconda or whatever. Because Anaconda, you remember that movie. But Lake Placid, you kind of just like, oh yeah, the croc movie. Like,
yeah, I do give it props for being more grounded in terms of natural behavior from the animal itself, but the rest of it is kind of forgettable besides Hank and
I was kind of
Hector.
I was a bit disappointed when I watched this movie for the first time. I was like, really, that's it? This is Lake Placid? Like, come on, man. And it's a creature flick, so only the first one, and the general rule of creature flicks, so only the first one is good. So it's like, oh my gosh, this is a peak of the franchise.
Except Anaconda. The second one, I think, is very good.
Well, I still need to watch the second Anaconda, so I can't. Personally, I can't pass judgment on that. But generally, with most of them, especially with Lake Placid, the first one is like the peak of the series. That's the peak in terms of writing, animatronic CGI, everything. It's the peak.
Yeah, then it was straight to VHS and torrent sites.
Yeah, basically.
So, yeah. Other than that, I really don't have anything else to say. No takeaways from me.
Joe, what's your score? What score would you give this movie?
Well, it doesn't beat Anaconda for me, but I still think, in terms of production value and its own quirkiness, I would definitely give it a 6. I still like it. I still would watch it, but I've had enough of my movies being 10 out of 10 right now.
You need to get more critical.
Yeah, so it wasn't as impactful or as long-lasting on the memory as Anaconda.
Yeah,
so for me, it's a 6.
Yeah, for me, it's also a 6, and I still can't believe this movie has a higher score. Like, currently, last I checked, Anaconda had a 4.8 on IMDb. This has got a 5.7. 5.7! How is this above Anaconda?
I will agree that I think it has a larger positive recognition because it's more lighthearted and humorous. Like, some of the writing in terms of jokes, a lot of the fan base will probably resonate with and die laughing. Yeah. Like I did. I'm not going to lie. I laughed during that film.
No, I don't. I also often laugh during certain scenes.
So I think that's why. It's purely the comedic side that lifts
and I'm not trying to bash on the Lake Placid fandom or this whole series or anything. I'm just saying, if you just look at this first movie if you just regard it as a film, it's very thin. And in terms of a creature flick, it's a bit disappointing. Compared to Anaconda. I know Jaws is the Titan, but if you compare it to other movies like Anaconda, The Shallows, Crawl, those types of movies, I haven't seen the Alligator from 1980, but I want to watch it now.
Oh, I think I have actually seen it. No, I'm thinking of another movie. Sorry.
Okay, yeah, but we should definitely maybe try out some other ones like Rogue or
Rogue. I love Rogue.
One that you said it was very good. Or Black Lagoon. I've heard the Black Lagoon ones are pretty good.
Piranha.
I actually watched the original Piranha a few days ago. It's pretty thing. Although I will say the main male actor in that movie looks a lot like your dad. He reminds me a lot of your dad.
That'll be interesting to watch.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll get there when we get there, I guess.
Yeah, we'll get there when we get there. But
there are definitely creature features worth watching, and there are definitely some that should not exist.
That should not exist. Should be erased from
history.
Yeah, the histories.
Other than that, I don't think I have anything to say. I still love the film. I'm a fan. I'm not a diehard fan. It's not going on the poster wall anytime soon, but I appreciate it for what it is. It's a niche kind of creature feature.
It's nice to just do a niche movie every now and then. Just kind of as a palate cleanser between the big movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching this episode. Please like, share, and subscribe. And if you listen to us on one of our podcast platforms, please do leave us a review if you have any feedback. And buy Grady from the Hood's album. Dropping this December. Buy her album. She needs the money. She needs to buy more cows.
Yeah, I was going to say she needs to buy more cows for the farm because she's running low. And now she has 3 crocs to feed. So please go support her and us.
Yeah, she needs it. Yeah. But anyway, thanks guys.
Thanks guys.